I've been gone so long, some of you have forgotten who I am, but my name is David Horowitz. And this is a production of the David Horowitz Freedom Center. Briefly, what happened to me is my foot was paralyzed. I wish I could say it was from kicking James Carville or Sandra Fluke, but it was actually a botched hip operation. Be careful when you have them that you choose a decent surgeon. So my sciatic nerve was damaged, and that means paralysis and a lot of pain. I am on the mend. This is my first public appearance since March. The operation was on April 1st. That was another oversight on my part. And I'm here in part because I have a new doctor, and that doctor is the chairman of the David Horowitz Freedom Center, Michael Weiner. Thank you, Michael, for taking care of me. This is an important occasion. The young man who is our speaker today is transforming the center. He has two websites, Truth Revolt and Israel Revolt, which are much bigger than anything the center was able to do 15 years prior. It's very exciting if you've been up to these sites. And if you've seen the videos of Bill Whittle and Andrew Clavin, two brilliant performers. We have $1.5 million pledged to expand what Ben is doing, but it has to be matched. So I hope if there's anybody here who has, it doesn't matter, $5, $10, $50, $100,000. Well, it depends on how wealthy you are, doesn't it? $100,000 can seem like nickels and dimes to some people. But please consider seriously helping us match these funds and making the center grow. And that's because the center does one thing that almost nobody on the right does, and that is to call things by their right names. As Ben will be discoursing on today, we have a criminal in the White House. How do you, when you have a president who is a criminal, who has utter contempt for the Constitution, violates it every day, how do you rein him in? Well, who's the chief law enforcement officer in the land? He's a member of the same criminal gang. So what do? Well, one thing you can do is party. And so I'm going to invite you all. We're having a big party at my home on the 26th of July. I won't give the address out here on TV because there are so many idiots on the left who might cause trouble. Hopefully this won't come out till after the party anyway. But it's going to be a Western style party. We have a DJ, Joel Gilbert's Dylan Legends Band is going to play. We're going to have pony rides for the kids and horse rides for adults. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's to celebrate my new book, which is about how to fight the left, which is all we really do at the center. It's called Take No Prisoners. What else was I going to say here? It's worse than having a criminal, as Ben will also tell you, in the White House. This man is a communist, a lifelong communist. And therefore, his contempt for the Constitution is not like a criminal who doesn't like the law that he's breaking. He doesn't like the system of laws that we have, and he's determined to undo them. This is the most dangerous situation the United States has ever faced. And we have precious few leaders at the moment who are articulating the battle the way it needs to be articulated and fighting it. Republicans still think this is politics as normal. It isn't. So that's why what the Freedom Center does is so important, why Ben's book is so important, and why what he does at the center is so important. Thank you.
Well, thank you to David. Obviously, thank you to the center. And this is the only place on the right that does call things by their real name. There's a lot of weakness, unfortunately, on the right. That weakness on the right has led to an unending series of leftist victories over the last 80 years in this country, which has led to a growth of government that now puts us on the verge of what can only be termed an executive tyranny, an executive dictatorship, a dictatorship that we get to elect every 4 years, but then we are supposed to sit back and watch as our rights are trampled over. Last week, President Obama told a crowd in Minneapolis, quote, he was talking about the Republicans, of course, he's talking about the Congress. He said, they don't do anything except block me and call me names, because this is the most powerful man on earth whining. And he also said, they don't do anything except block me. And then Dick Durbin, he was talking about specifically about immigration, Dick Durbin last week added that because these folks only block him and call him names, President Obama would, quote, borrow the power that is needed to solve the problems of immigration. You borrow it, right? Sort of like you borrow your neighbor's cup of sugar, except you never give back the cup of sugar because you've used it. Right? When power is borrowed, it is never restored. That's the point of borrowing power in the first place. President Obama is always very happy to borrow power because, as David mentioned, the left is fundamentally opposed to the Constitution of the United States. They are fundamentally opposed to the basic founding concept of American freedom and liberty. They seek to tear it down. I disagree slightly with David in terms of the president being a communist. David knows communism significantly better than I do, so I'll defer to his definition of communism. But in my view, the president is beyond that. He is a nihilist. He wants to tear down the system almost solely for the sake of tearing down the system. It's not even about establishing equality or establishing a basic standard of rights or to avoid poverty. It's about tearing down the system purely and simply. Now, there are folks on the left who see the Constitution of the United States as a real obstacle. These folks include people who sit on the Supreme Court of the United States. Ruth Bader Ginsburg said not long ago, she said, quote, I would not look to the U.S. Constitution if I were drafting a constitution in the year 2012. I might look at the Constitution of South Africa. She said that was a deliberate attempt to have a fundamental instrument of government that embraced basic human rights, had an independent judiciary. It really is, I think, a great piece of work that was done, much more recent than the U.S. Constitution, which is, of course, why South Africa is such a thriving and wonderful and free country today. The South African Constitution contains the following provisions. Section 26 of that Constitution contains the right to housing, including the right to due process with regard to court-ordered eviction and demolition. Section 27 includes the rights to food, water, health care, and social assistance, which the state must progressively realize within the limits of its resources. This is the sort of constitution that the left wants, a constitution in which the government guarantees you stuff and violates your rights in order to guarantee you those things. And if they don't deliver on that promise, well, they can't win them all. But the bottom line is that they will pretend to guarantee you these things. How do we know that they're just pretending? Because there have been other constitutions in the past that contain similar provisions. For example, there was a constitution in the recent past that suggested, quote, the distribution and usage of real estate should be supervised by the state in order to prevent abuse and in order to strive to secure healthy housing to all families, especially those with many children, in order to maintain health and the ability to work, in order to protect motherhood, and to prevent economic consequences of age weakness, and to protect against the vicissitudes of life, the state establishes a comprehensive system of insurances. This particular constitution also said that the state should transfer economic enterprises suited for nationalization into common property if the regulations for expropriation are obeyed and if compensation is not violated. I'm speaking, of course, of the Weimar Constitution. It guaranteed all of these rights.